You're listening to the JD Rucker Show. Let's begin. Yeah, so I'm probably going to lose some viewers today because we're going to be going into topics that aren't necessarily mainstream. One in particular is the idea that what we are witnessing is a guerrilla warfare attack against the United States of America. Today, I know yesterday I said I wasn't going to be talking much about the fires because everybody else is talking about them, but the more that I dig into it and the more that I listen to other people talking about it, the more I realize a lot of them, no offense, but a lot of them aren't saying the right things. A lot of them are so busy going after owning the libs, going after the Democrats, and rightly so, but they're missing a bigger picture here. I think that there are other considerations that we must take into account when looking at what's happening with the various fires here in Los Angeles. And yes, I am very close. I do have family members in LA. I have friends in LA. I have one of my key sponsors is actually based in their corporate office, at least is based in the Los Angeles area. So yeah, it's a big deal. We've got our spare room ready just in case my family members have to abandon ship and come down here to where I am in more southerner California. We did live in areas during, I guess it was about 2017-ish. 2017, 2019, we spent time living in LA, my wife and I did, for medical reasons. And so I'm very familiar with the area, and I visited infrequently, only when I absolutely positively have to. We went down. I did go up there for a dinner business meeting in December. And I can tell you this, that with all of the challenges, all the problems that Los Angeles has, it doesn't deserve this. No place deserves this. This is absolute destruction. I'll be talking about an article by Michael Snyder where he says that it looks as if a literal nuke went off in some of these areas. And it's true because they're leveled. Okay, this isn't like, it's funny, not funny, it's sad that how similar this is to what we saw in Maui, right? In 2023, the Maui fires, which have, of course, been forgotten for whatever reason, but we're seeing the same thing in Los Angeles, a much more populated area, much more expensive area, and it is devastated. The financial repercussions from this are going to be felt. Of course, Joe Biden earlier today said that he's going to cover all the expenses. It's easy for him to say on his way out the door. We have Gavin Newsom, who may have actually, yesterday we covered Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, making a fool of herself multiple times during the day as she returns to see her city being destroyed. Well, Gavin Newsom might have done even worse. He flat out lied to somebody on camera, pretending like, oh, I'm talking on the phone. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I call BS on that. But yeah, these fires are utterly devastating. And again, I'm not sure that the right coverage is being done of what's happening. People aren't necessarily asking the right questions. Some are. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm alone. But there are, I would say, the majority of the conservative and alternative show hosts out there, and most of the alternative and conservative blogs are focused on owning the libs, blaming the Democrats. This is all their fault. See, this sucks. Don't worry, Trump is coming. He'll fix everything. I get it. That's how you're able to. This is why they have sometimes 100 times bigger audience than I do, because they like to play on those games. And let's be honest here, many of you like to hear that kind of stuff. We like to highlight the idiocy of California's communist government. We like to attack people like Karen Bass, like Gavin Newsom, like their DEI diversity hire as fire chief. Those are easy targets. It's good fodder for shows. But this is worse than that, folks. This is potentially much bigger. And this could represent the opening stages of an extended guerrilla warfare strategy campaign against the United States of America. And if that's the case, then that just tells us that they are preparing for something. These are like body blows, right? If you're into boxing, these would be like body blows. Try to weaken the boxer, your opponent's stamina. Try to make it to where they're less, they're kind of inching their boxing gloves down, trying to protect their body, and then all of a sudden you hit them with a haymaker. I'm very concerned that might be what we're seeing right now. The opening stage, the early body blows against the United States of America in preparation for a greater attack. Of course, we have open borders, and with open borders, that means that you have not just terrorists, you have militants coming across. It's not just gang members, it's actual fighting forces that are coming across. We know what we get to see, and we think we know. We get to see part of the picture that they're able to present to us based upon who they capture. But what about the people they don't capture? We don't know how many, for example, and I'm not saying that it's definitely going to be China, but we don't know how many Chinese nationals, how many Chinese militants have come into our nation over the last 4 years. And the timing of all of this is very conspicuous because it would seem as if they were hoping to get as many people across as possible, and then once they got that filled up, basically got as many military-aged men as possible into the United States, people that they could control, then, once they hit that number, or in this case, hit the roadblock of a President Trump victory, then it's like, okay, let's move on to the next stage of our attack against America. And it would come in the form of guerrilla warfare to weaken our infrastructure, weaken our economy, weaken our morale, to spread us thin. It is what it is. Lord willing, we will make it through all this. Lord willing, I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that you know what? I hope that this is just random coincidence that, bad luck, darn it. If only it would rain, But no, I don't think it is. I think that there's a very good chance that we are witnessing an attack against the United States of America. It's one of the reasons why I launched my long-term storage beef company in the first place. If you go to prepperfarms.com and you use promo code JDR, you will get the maximum discount. Now, keep in mind, when people look up in the corner and they see, the promo code and the percentage, they go in and they see the boxes, which will have they'll have their price and then their sales price with promo code. My discount code, JDR, as one of the owners of the company, is actually better than that. So don't say, this is on sale for $87 or whatever it is. No, it's actually on sale for more than that if you use promo code JDR. That's owner's prerogative. So go to prepperfarms.com. Stock up now while we still can on long-term storage beef. 25-year shelf life, all American, all Texan, and the good stuff. We're talking about ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin, the stuff that you would actually want to eat, whether there was an apocalyptic situation or not. That's one of the things that differentiates us from literally everybody else out there on the market. We're the only ones that sell this stuff. So with that said, let's get into the stories, shall we? Sleepy Joe says federal government will cover 100% of disaster relief costs for 180 days. I love how our government is so willing to let our money be spent on whatever, especially when it's something that should definitely be focused locally. After all, California, if it were a nation, it would have the 5th largest economy in the world. They don't lack money. They don't lack funds. They lack leadership. So, and you're not going to be able to buy leadership by giving out federal handouts. This does bring up a quick point I have to make, because as a limited government guy, I do believe that the federal government should be pretty much almost entirely eliminated. I know that sounds crazy, but you could legitimately eliminate 90 to 95% of the federal government, and things would run exponentially smoother than they do today. And I have the privilege, the blessing really, of being able to stay consistent on this issue, which is why there will be those who are going against this, saying, oh, they're doing too much. But these are the same people, usually conservative show hosts, not ripping on anybody in particular, but these same conservative show hosts were saying, why are they not doing enough in North Carolina? Why are they sending in FEMA? Why is FEMA understaffed, and why don't they have any money? It's because they're spending it all on illegal aliens. We need to get more money. We need to get more federal government assistance in North Carolina and the surrounding states. And I was like, no, just keep the federal government completely out of it. It's a state and local issue. And it should have been from the start. And it should still be a state and local issue. The presence of the federal government actually hampered relief efforts in North Carolina and surrounding states. If you just kept the federal government completely out of it and allowed fellow Americans to help their fellow Americans, allowed city and state and local governments to be able to do what they can to assist the people, to allow the people to help themselves, then things would have been a lot smoother. And yet we've had so many of these conservative hosts out there, oh, the federal government needs to spend more because they weren't. It's almost as if the notion is whatever the Democrats do, we'll take the opposite approach. You have to be consistent. If you're going to be out there spreading the word and talking about this stuff, then you have to stay consistent. So as I was against more federal aid in North Carolina, so too am I consistently against all of this federal aid that Joe Biden is wanting to send over. Let's listen to his words. And he actually, hey, to his credit, he actually seems like he's having a good dementia day. Listen.
And this morning, due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor, and he requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing it to 100% of all the costs to be covered by the federal government for both the fire management assistance grants and the elements of what they call the disaster declaration. So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property. And folks, I want to underscore, I told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires and in their communities that have really been devastated.
There's a horrible misconception that's shared by a very strong majority, maybe the vast majority of Americans. I would say that nearly every Democrat feels this way. A good chunk of independents and probably most Republicans feel that the top of the hierarchy of government is the federal government, and that's not true. Okay, the top of government hierarchy is, of course, God. And not that I'm calling for a theocracy or anything. Don't take that the wrong way. It's just that God is sovereign over this planet. Therefore, he's sovereign over the United States of America. But as far as human, man, male or female government, the societal government, we have at the top should be the individual, the family unit. The individual and the family should be the top of government. Self-governance is the key and always has been the key to our success as Americans. Below the individual and the family, you have the community, and then the city, and then the county, and then the state. And at the very, very bottom is the federal government. They're the catch-all, last resort. You could eliminate 90 to 95% of the federal government, and things would begin operating much, 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 much more smoothly in the United States of America. I'm a firm believer of that, which is why, again, when I see Joe Biden out there spending all of our money on this disaster relief, I can be consistent with my opposition to that because I was against the federal government hopping in there and spending all sorts of money when it came to North Carolina relief. Now, I'm not suggesting that there was no room at all for the federal government to help. They should have the federal government needs to play a secondary role. Okay, they don't come in and take over. They come in and say, what do you need? How can we help? You guys are in charge. Tell us what you need. So if you do need generators, great. We got some extra generators. You do need this, we'll get them to you, and you can coordinate with your American citizen volunteers who are leading the efforts to help their fellow Americans. The same thing should be happening again here in Los Angeles once disaster relief starts. There are certain times when government has to has to supersede the individual. For example, when it comes to actually fighting these fires. Okay, that's something where you don't want a whole bunch of individual volunteers rushing in because they don't have the equipment, they don't have the training, whereas the city and the state, and the city, county, and state should have the firefighter infrastructure, the training, and the equipment to be able to battle these fires. Okay, so during that situation, government gets involved, federal government stays out of it. Now, in the disaster relief aspect of it, now, once everything is calmed down, the fires are put out, people are in need, this is when the individuals work with the city and the county, and to some extent the state, to figure out what needs to be done. Because we can help ourselves if government stays out of the way. And when there's a situation where we can't help ourselves, this is where we get assistance from the community, the city, the county, and the state. And then if there's anything that's absolutely positively needed, that you just can't get through the higher levels of government, starting with the individual, then the federal government is the catch-all. They're the safety net. That's how things should be, and we're seeing the exact opposite. And we have seen, to be fair, I mean, this isn't anything new. We've seen this. This has been the government way, whether it's Republican or Democrat in office. Federal government always has supremacy. That's what the Constitution says, supremacy. They always ignore, of course, the 10th Amendment. And that's one of the reasons why our nation is in the position that it's in today. Delusional. Pride magazine celebrates lesbian fire chief of Los Angeles as city burns down. You can mark this into the category of you can't make this up. Talk about timing. I mean, this is similar. This would be like Kamala Harris touting the effectiveness of her Joy political campaign. Yeah, she lost. Okay, this is not the time to say that her campaign of joy was effective, because it clearly wasn't, and now is not the right time for Pride magazine to say that the DEI hire in Los Angeles for fire chief, that this person should be celebrated. According to an article over at hotair.com by David Strom, there is no particular reason to think that a gay, lesbian, black, brown, or any other diverse person couldn't make an excellent fire chief, but you can be 100% certain that if diversity is a major or the primary reason for hiring somebody, the person hired will be unlikely to be the best choice. It's simple. You restrict the applicant pool and your choices diminish. And with a diminished pool, the likelihood you will find excellence diminishes. This is common sense, and it always has been. As Helen Raleigh said on X, DEI ruins every agency and institution it touches. Let's cut to the actual article. There it is. It's obvious that Fire Chief Kristen Crowley, who is leading the effort to extinguish the LA fires, is not exactly killing it. But that isn't how Pride magazine sees it. Kristen is a lesbian, and that is all that matters. And here's the headline. Amid Palisades fire, Los Angeles' first LGBTQA plus fire chiefs is proving lesbian. Gosh, I can't even. That's how ludicrous this headline is. I can't read it. Amid Palisades fire, Los Angeles' first LGBTQ plus fire chief is proving lesbians get it done. Is she really getting it done? I mean, if you're living in Los Angeles right now, my daughter lives in Los Angeles. I know she doesn't feel like the fire chief is getting it done because she's not getting it done. The fire continues to rage. The fires, multiple, continue to rage. And I know earlier I said, what if there's a possibility that this could even be a guerrilla warfare attack? That aside, you still have incompetence on display in Los Angeles, the city, Los Angeles, the county, and the state of California. And all three are run by Democrats. Back to the article. I read the article that accompanies the headline and was struck by something that was totally missing. Any mention of her efforts to get the fires under control, and no mention of how disastrous the situation is. It's all about how great it is that she is a lesbian, and how awful it is that people are pointing out that she is a DEI hire who prioritizes DEI in hiring, as she proudly notes in her biography. This isn't a shining example of DEI working. It's a shining example, unfortunately, of how DEI destroys everything it touches. So why double down? Because not only are they delusional, those over at Pride magazine, but they also know that their audience is just as delusional. Gavin Newsom pretends to be on the phone with Joe Biden as a local resident confronts him about the fires. I'm just going to go ahead and call it right up front. It's BS. He was pretending to be. He's like, oh, I'm literally on the phone with Joe, with blah, 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 blah. No, he was just trying to. I mean, I've used this tactic before too. People will come up, to talk to me about something. I'll be like, I like where to go. I like to keep my earpiece in my ear whenever I go out. So if somebody comes up and I want to talk to them, I'll be like, as if we actually do that. We put our finger to our ear and we talk. I do it, and I'm actually pretty good at it. I've acquired a skill of being able to. Hold on. Right. Mm-hmm. On Tuesday? No, that won't work. Give me some other options. Hold on one second. Right, yeah. I mean, we could use magnets, I guess. No. No, that would be that. Well, no, you'd get arrested. Obviously. Okay, I'll make some calls. Let's. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got it. Not bad, huh? You probably thought I was on the phone with somebody, didn't you? Well, apparently Gavin Newsom's not as good. He's just like, oh, but my phone. See, my phone. I don't have any bar. Just watch this. This would be hilarious if it wasn't so horribly sad.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
to
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, incling making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
A lot of people are saying that, well, beyond lying about talking to Joe Biden, a lot of people are saying that that this is going to end Gavin Newsom's career. Lest we forget, okay, Democrats are extraordinarily resilient when it comes to their own folks, right? Look, Joe Biden should have been excluded from even running for president 15 times before he actually ran and was given the Democrat nomination once and then again later, and then it was taken away from him, whatever. No, this is not going to end Gavin Newsom's career. We'd like to think so, and it should. And his career should have ended with his failures in San Francisco as mayor, and then his career should have ended with his failures as lieutenant governor of California, and then his career should have definitely ended once he started doing his thing as governor of California. But no, I don't think that his career is over. As a matter of fact, I hope it's not. I would love to run, whether it's JD Vance or whoever, I would love to run against Gavin Newsom in 2028, because he really is a relatively easy target. He does okay in the extremely biased and very leftist state of California, but on the national stage, I think he would get eaten alive. So I'm hoping that this isn't the end. I hope that he becomes the presumptive nominee for president in 2028 for the Democrats, because then we can be very hopeful of another Republican victory in 2028. Last year, my long-term storage food company, Prepper Farms, was partnered with and actually owned by another corporation. I know that nobody knew this. Very few people were even aware that this was the case because our production, our systems, everything was in place and working just as it should be. People would go, they would put in promo code JDR at prepperfarms.com. They would receive the maximum possible discount, as always, and then they would get their long-term storage beef. What you didn't know and what we can now explain now is that this year in 2025, we have gone back to the original ownership structure. And I'm very excited about that because that puts me finally back more in charge. And I am super excited about that concept, not because I crave power by any means, but because I feel that as an America First veteran-owned company, that we need to focus on helping Americans to prepare for whatever is to come, whether it's natural disasters or emergencies or de-dollarization, food crises, bird flu, whatever it is. We do expect something to happen, which is why we built prepperfarms.com in the first place. The idea here is to get high quality, all American, all Texas beef, the good stuff, ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, all of that good stuff, and freeze dry it naturally to give it a 25-year shelf life. We don't add any preservatives. There's only one ingredient, and that's beef. Lasts 25 years in the bag, and that's awesome. So support this show, support me, support yourself and your family. Protect yourself for the future by stocking up on long-term storage, high-quality beef. Go to prepperfarms.com. That's prepperfarms.com. Use promo code JDR, and you will receive the maximum possible discount. Is America under attack? Are the fires that are taking place in Southern California, the explosions down in Texas, other events that we'll cover later today, are these part of a coordinated attack? It's possible, and strangely, and I wouldn't say strangely, but very few people are focusing on that, and the reason being is that those who would focus on a potential attack, a conspiracy of an attack against the United States of America, are generally the people on the right, the people in alternative media and conservative media, and we have plenty of fodder to deal with otherwise. We don't have to look to conspiracy theories because we've got Democrats to demonize. We can go after Gavin Newsom. We can go after Karen Bass. We can go after their DEI diversity fire chief. We can go after all the leftists, and that is, in my humble opinion, it's preventing us from asking some very serious questions. Are these attacks? Now, let's be clear, because I think a lot of times when anybody brings up the idea of attack, we think of a terrorist attack. And if these are attacks, then they're not terrorist attacks. This would be guerrilla warfare. There's a difference, a very big difference, between guerrilla warfare and terrorist attacks. With a terrorist attack, your goal is to spread fear, spread terror. That is the idea. Generally speaking, those who commit terrorist attacks will take credit for their terrorist attacks. They want people to know, hey, we did that. And the second component is that they'll say, we're going to do it again. They want this to be an ongoing thing. They want to spread fear. Not only did we do this, but we're going to hit you again and again and again until America leaves Syria or whatever the reason might be. But yeah, this is very different from a guerrilla warfare attack or a guerrilla warfare campaign, which is what I'm proposing is possible. Now, to be clear, I have zero evidence. Okay, there is no reason to believe that this is a guerrilla warfare attack other than the fact that it does fit all of the criteria. One of the criteria of a guerrilla warfare attack is that everything can be explained. So, for example, we could say that the fires in California were lit by those who want to burn down, cause havoc, right? But we could also say that those on the right could say, hey, maybe it was a climate change cultist who lit the fires. Maybe it's just poor management. We should have been able to put these fires out really fast, but we ran out of water, and so it's just the Democrats. Somebody threw out a cigarette butt from their car and started all these fires, oddly simultaneously with multiple fires in very disparate locations that wouldn't have caused each other. So there's that. That's one of the quote-unquote pieces of evidence. I guess you could say it's very circumstantial evidence, but one of the ideas that keeps me thinking this could be an attack. Another thing that often pops up in guerrilla warfare is that it's just bad luck. It's bad luck that it happened now. It's bad luck, the bad timing. It just so happened that somebody started a fire, and then these winds came, and total coincidence, just bad luck, right? Again, the idea in guerrilla warfare is that you don't want to get caught. Unlike with a terrorist attack, and when I say caught, you don't want to be blamed. With a terrorist attack, the terrorists want to take credit. They want to be able to promise more, and they want to get as many casualties as possible. In guerrilla warfare, that's not always the case. At least they definitely don't want to take credit. They don't want anybody to know there was an attack at all. They just want to do damage to infrastructure, damage to systems, damage to people. And as a matter of fact, from a casualty perspective, they generally, a guerrilla warfare attack, depending on what kind of attack it is, doesn't necessarily want to have as many casualties, whereas with a terrorist attack, you want to maximize the casualties. You want the highest possible number. With guerrilla warfare, anybody that dies as a result of it, in this particular scenario, when you're working from within a target nation, it's not, the casualties are just, they're there, right? You could have them, you could not, doesn't matter to the guerrilla warriors, I guess we'll call them. You do want massive damage. That's a huge criteria. You want to be able to inflict as much damage as possible to the aforementioned infrastructure, the systems, the equipment. And also, there's the psychological aspect of it. So to some extent, there is terror involved, but again, that terror is secondary, just as the casualties are secondary. Guerrilla warfare is supposed to hamper a nation's ability to operate and to defend itself. In this case, the defense aspect of it is minimal, but the ability to operate, these fires are going to cause so much damage. When everything is tallied up, it's going to affect the entire country. And that makes it a successful attack if it is a guerrilla warfare attack. And then last but not least, they want to make sure there's a scapegoat because they don't want to get caught. With guerrilla warfare, you want to be able to reuse your tactics. And you don't want anybody trying to counter those tactics. So you don't want to get caught. You want it to look as if it was either an accident or bad circumstances or the Democrats' fault or Mother Nature, climate change, whatever. You don't want to take the blame because you want to be able to do it again and again and again until finally somebody starts saying, it's pretty odd that this keeps happening to us. I wonder if this is sabotage, which is one of the primary tools of a guerrilla warfare attack. Now, as far as the evidence, or the circumstantial evidence, why I believe this could be a series of terrorist attacks, a series of guerrilla warfare attacks. We have, of course, the perfect timing and perfect placement. If you were to look at a map, and I should have had one ready to pull up, but I have seen these maps of where the fires started, and they seem to start in areas that were opposite of the wind. So, for example, if here's a population center or a landmark or whatever, this is where they want the fire to go. They start the fire over here because the wind's coming from over here. Make sense? And then the wind shifts, and then all of a sudden, with the North Hollywood, the Hollywood Hills fire, just as the wind shifted from coming from the north to the south, that's when that hit. And anybody who knows their map knows that is at the top of L.A., and it starts working its way down because the winds shifted. So it seems as if the fires are starting in just the right places at just the right time to cause the most possible damage to Los Angeles, to burn as many homes, as many buildings as possible. There's an article over at Just the News. I'm sorry, this is Justin arsonists caught on camera setting fires in Santa Monica. Now, I've watched the video. This does not appear to be a guerrilla warfare attack. It's most likely just idiots, okay, or perhaps looters, something. But it's worth noting that we are seeing some people light fires. Now, are these likely the guerrilla warriors? I don't think so. But it just goes to show that just because, there's one person who happened to have his cell phone ready and available catching idiots lighting fires, what's to stop dozens of other people from intentionally lighting fires in a coordinated attack. It says California is drowning in an inferno of DEI mediocrity and failure. There we go again. We've got the scapegoat. Just blame the Democrats, blame DEI, blame Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. It's all their fault, right? And to be clear, it is, okay? It's their fault for not being ready for this, for going woke, for doing all sorts of things. But just because it's their fault that they couldn't stop it doesn't mean that we're not under attack. They're not mutually exclusive. You could blame somebody for having their house robbed because they left the door wide open and, they didn't have a dog, they didn't have a fence. Maybe they even put out a sign that said, I'll be on vacation for the next 2 weeks. They could do the dumbest things possible, but this still doesn't take away from the damage done, or I guess the blame can still go on the people that actually go in and rob the house. So again, you can have incompetence from the Democrats, you can have wokeness, you can blame all those things, but somebody started those fires, and they too are complicit. They too are obviously directly to blame, on top of the lack of preparation from the Democrats here in California. So yeah, not mutually exclusive. All right, it's literally burning. It's a horrific, nightmarish state of affairs with people and animals losing their lives and homes thanks to the gross negligence and DEI stupidity of so-called leaders and officials. Right now, California looks like all-out Armageddon with water and firefighter shortages, mass looting, and this just in, pyromaniacs are now jumping into the chaos. And that's what again, I'm not going to play the video because it's just, you see a fire, there's a tree burning, more trees being lit up in the middle of Santa Monica just as other fires are going. But here's the tweet that I wanted to post. I'm not going to play the video either, but this is from MN Frankenstein. Here, fire in Malibu Beach, California. I can't help but think that this is arson. How else does an entire row of houses directly on the beach with very little surrounding foliage completely burn to the ground? A lot of this reminds me of Hawaii, of Maui, the Maui fires. I'm not going to get into directed energy weapons or anything like that, or how those fires started, but it seems if, for example, if I were wanting to attack America, we've already infiltrated, we've already got our warriors coming in through the southern border for the last 4 years under Joe Biden. Now it looks like we're about to max out. Now it looks like maybe we're not going to be able to get any more warriors into the nation with President Trump coming back in. So now it's time to start unleashing them at first with guerrilla warfare. And if they have the capability of doing things such as what I'm proposing, so starting fires, perhaps they began with a test run, so to speak, to see if any questions were asked in Maui, to see if anyone started putting pieces together. And a lot of people did. Unfortunately, those lot of people were conservative podcasters, conspiracy theorists. We didn't get nearly the attention that we deserved. And of course, legacy media, which I know we say legacy media is dying, but it still has a stranglehold on the flow of information. Legacy media didn't pick up on it at all. I would say maybe we got 1/10 of what we needed to get as far as attention from platforms such as X, and therefore the story never really picked up. But I do still believe, it's just as I believed shortly afterwards, that there is a very good chance that the Maui fire was intentional, and that the follow-up results, the lack of assistance, the lack of coverage, the ability of the government to keep everything under wraps, to keep it all hidden, to keep those pesky independent journalists out, that worked effectively, and people quickly forgot. Maui got memory hold faster than I even expected, and I think that that could have been a test run of what we're seeing right now happening in Los Angeles. Because again, some of these fires, they don't make sense. This falls out of line with the idea of somebody left a campfire burning, or even power lines. We know that the power lines in California are awful. We know that they cause at least half of the fires, allegedly half of the fires that happen out here. And there's been like 60 fires already. It's just like the 9th of the month, and there's already been like 60 fires out here in California. and over half of them can be attributed to faulty power lines. Winds pick up, power lines fall, they start, the land is bone dry. There's all the conditions are there to be able to explain away a guerrilla warfare attack. Nobody's asking about it because there's no real reason to. I mean, why would we ask about it, right? Because it's easier for us to assume that it's just bad luck, bad timing, inconvenience. Fires got started, winds blowing, that contributed to the fire spreading, and all of a sudden, LA is burning to the ground. Now, if that was the only attack that was happening, I would say, yeah, that sounds about right. It's probably almost certainly just bad luck, bad timing. But then we had an attack last night, or something happened last night. I don't want to call it an attack per se, but we did have something happen last night. This comes to us from Jim Hoft over at the Gateway Pundit. Massive fire erupts after power substation explosion in North Fort Worth, Texas, and it triggers a voluntary evacuation. Now, bear in mind, we talk about some of the criteria that pertains to a guerrilla warfare attack. Nobody's going to take credit for it. Minimal casualties, right? And very, very, very bad timing. The timing bad for us, good for the guerrilla warfare, guerrilla warriors. If this was an attack, they picked a time when just before a massive winter storm is supposed to cut through the area. Seems awfully inconvenient, does it not? Let's go to the article. A massive fire erupted in North Fort Worth following an explosion. Again, explosion, weird, at a power substation on Wednesday evening, prompting voluntary evacuations in the surrounding area. Emergency crews responded promptly to the incident. No injuries have been reported. The explosion's cause remains under investigation, with authorities urging residents to avoid the area and adhere to any evacuation advisories. The Fort Worth Department of Public Information officer will be on scene of the large fire at the electric substation off 17, yada, yada, yada. This is a very active scene with multiple first responders on scene. Please avoid the area and leave room for emergency vehicles. Great. But here, I mean, why? This was, again, it wasn't like, okay, there was something happened. It was an explosion. They don't know what it was. And it just so happened that there was this explosion taking a whole bunch of people, taking away their power just before a winter storm. Again, this can breed chaos. And chaos is the goal, regardless of whether it's a terrorist attack or a guerrilla warfare attack. Chaos is one of the end goals, because through chaos, that's when other bad things can happen. It's easier to attack somebody when they're in the midst of other chaos. Now, am I suggesting that an attack is imminent? No, I'm not suggesting that at all. And when I say attack, I'm talking about a full-blown, like a invasion, or let's say any of these tens, hundreds of thousands of Chinese nationals or whoever. I'm not blaming China. I'm just saying it's possible, that have been brought into the United States over the last 4 years. Are they going to attack? I don't think so. I don't think that's the next phase. What I do think is the next phase is a cyber attack, and that would be horrible, because with a cyber attack, you do have, number one, you have a whole lot of blind spots. In other words, you can't see where you're being attacked from. You might be able to pinpoint a general location. You might be saying, oh, it's China, it's North Korea, it's Iran, it's whoever. But even that is relatively faulty, and you can't necessarily attribute how to. If you don't know who to blame and you don't know how they did it, you can't very easily fix it. All it would take, folks, would be an internet outage of a couple of weeks, and our nation would fall apart. It's hard for people to understand, but we've become so embedded, so dependent on the internet, whether it's through our mobile devices, through how we watch television, obviously on computers, how you watch videos, how you gather information, how you know what's going on, how you access your finances, how you access just about anything is all dependent upon the internet. Now you might say, oh, but we got Starlink, don't worry about it. That's a whole other conspiracy theory that we're not going to talk about today. So we're going to shelve that one, put a pin in that one, because there's some questions about that too. But let's say that they are going to attack us with a cyber attack, whether it's attacking infrastructure. They've demonstrated they can do that. Whether it's hacking the personal information. They've already done that like 9 times last year. 9 times they were able to hack into our medical records. That's not good. And by they, I'm talking about the Chinese Communist Party and their proxies. I'm not trying to fearmonger you here. Not at all. I'm asking you to become as vigilant as possible, to keep your eyes open. You know, they always say for the last 2.5 decades, they say, see something, say something. Well, now is that time again. I'm concerned that by the time the rest of the nation wakes up to the possibility that we're under attack, it will be too late. So rather than fear-mongering, I'm asking you to pray. I'm asking you to do everything you can to alert others, to let them know, hey, be on the lookout. Because if we are under attack, then we can assume, under a version of guerrilla warfare, then we can assume that there will be things similar to fires in Los Angeles, substations blowing up in Texas just ahead of a storm, things like that. Again, don't forget, big difference between guerrilla warfare and terrorism. With terrorism, they hide. They are cowards up until the point where they commit their atrocities and then they're gone. With guerrilla warfare, it's ongoing. They remain cowardly, indefinitely, for as long as possible, trying to inflict as much damage as they can until something changes.
I'm Jonathan Rose, CEO of Genesis Gold Group. As Americans, we work hard every day to provide for our families and ensure their future. But with the uncertainty facing our economy, it is more important than ever to safeguard your wealth and protect your retirement savings. Educated investors look to safe haven assets to shield themselves from the economic storm. Tangible assets like gold and silver can provide stability, security, and most importantly, peace of mind. In 1997, the Taxpayer Relief Act allowed Americans to hold physical precious metals like gold and silver in their IRAs for the first time. Today, Genesis Gold Group helps our clients transfer existing IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement accounts into physical gold and silver, tax and penalty free. With thousands of satisfied clients, 5-star reviews, and fully accredited with the Better Business Bureau, our experienced team is here to help you navigate the process, start to finish. Now is the time to educate yourself on the importance of a diversified portfolio, including tangible assets like gold and silver. Call now to receive our free wealth protection kit and digital dollar defense guide. Call now and we'll include our extremely popular silver prepper bar free when you open your account. Add it to your IRA or have it sent to your home. Call Genesis Gold Group today at 800-200-GOLD. Prepper bar only available through Genesis Gold Group.
It literally looks like a nuke went off. We are witnessing the costliest fire disaster in U.S. history by a very wide margin. And to be clear, this article that I'm about to discuss with you only focuses on the insured costs. This doesn't go anywhere near the actual long-term costs to the people, to the businesses, to the state, to the county, the city, and the nation. Those numbers, which will never fully be known, are going to be absolutely tremendous, beyond what any of us know. This is why I said earlier, I believe I said it, that this is not just going to affect Los Angeles. It's not just going to affect California. This is going to affect the entire nation. It's going to have a detrimental effect economically as well as morally. I mean, our morale, I shouldn't say morally, our morale will be hampered as a result of this, especially once we start seeing the scope of the damage. But let's get to this article by Michael Snyder over at the Economic Collapse blog. We have it cross-posted with permission over at discern.tv. Some of the images of the destruction that has taken place in the Los Angeles area are hard to believe. We are being told that approximately 75% of Pacific Palisades has been completely leveled by fires. And the use of the phrase completely leveled is not an exaggeration at all. It literally looks like a nuke went off and wiped out everything. There have been plenty of fire disasters in California before, but never anything like this. At this point, AccuWeather is projecting that the total economic losses will be between $52 billion and $57 billion. And JP Morgan analyst Jimmy Bular reiterates that. He says it's going to be around $50 billion. Now, think about this. The costliest fire in U.S. history was the 2018 Camp Fire, which cost $12.5 billion. This is going to be 4 times that, at the very least. And we're having more fires popping up today even. One of the reasons why this disaster is going to be so costly is because homes are being destroyed in an area where home values are extremely high. Median home value in Malibu is $2 million, and I've seen images of homes that are in the $50 million range that are burnt to the ground. On Thursday, multiple fires continue to spread all around Los Angeles. Sadly, it's being reported that the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire were still 0% contained, and those are some of the big ones. Those are the ones that, of the 5 or 6 current fires, it was 5 as of when this article was written. It's now up to 6. Calabasas recently saw their fire get started, and we'll talk about all these here in a second because I'm going to bring up the map. But first, let's continue with this article. So far, over 2,000 structures have been destroyed, and more are catching fire with each passing hour. They say roughly 30,000 acres are on fire, 180,000 residents ordered to evacuate, 425,000 without power, and those numbers have gone up since this article was published. This disaster is far from over, and what is making things even worse is that arsonists have apparently been trying to start additional fires. And I do believe that all the fires, or at least most of them, were started by arsonists of some sort, whether it was for guerrilla warfare, or it was climate change cultists, or it was just some idiots. Who knows? And chances are we'll never know. I know they're going to investigate these fires, and they may find the arsonists. That's possible. I hope they do. I'm just not confident that they will. Why would anyone do such a thing? Have they gone completely and utterly insane? There should be absolutely no tolerance for anyone that is attempting to set new fires in the middle of a major fire emergency such as this. In areas where fire has already come and gone, many are discovering there's nothing left of their homes except for a pile of ash. Many of these homeowners will not be able to rebuild because they had their insurance policies canceled. Conveniently, weeks before these fires came in, one woman that was interviewed by KABC was trying to ward off the fires with a garden hose because the home where her parents have lived for more than 70 years was no longer covered by fire insurance. Lynn Levin Guzman stood in the front yard of her 90-year-old parents' home in Los Angeles County, California, trying to protect it with a garden hose because their insurance company no longer would. And this is a quote from her. "I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home, and they got canceled from their fire insurance. They've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire insurance. And they wonder why people leave California. Not enough are. It needs to be more. I'm staying, but I have my reasons." Yes, there are good paying jobs in the state, and the weather's nice, but in recent years, California has been hit by historic disaster after historic disaster, not to mention the disaster of the Democrat Party, which is alive, well, and thriving, at least as much as they can thrive in this state. They are doing... I'll go ahead and cut to the chase as far as my portion. I said there are reasons that I'm staying here. Some of them are very personal reasons, medical reasons. But there's at least one reason that I'm staying here that probably wouldn't keep me if I didn't have the medical reasons. But since I'm stuck here, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I do believe there's an opportunity, finally, to make California purple, if not red. Okay? People are starting to wake up. I published an article over at thelibertydaily.com earlier today talking about how certain celebrities are starting to attack Democrats over their handling of the fire. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think Chris Pratt said something. Obviously, we have the conservatives, such as James Woods, going after them. There are a lot of people that are starting to wake up and realize that the wokeness, the DEI, the attempts to put whatever little fish as of the utmost importance to the point of destroying the city of Los Angeles over it. Yeah, people are starting to get fed up. So I do believe there's a chance, not a good chance, but maybe the chances are going to get better in the future. But right now, I do believe there's a chance that we could wake up enough people in California to make them realize that these fires, while disastrous, while even if we take out the guerrilla warfare aspect of it, if we assume that it's just bad luck, even then, this government at every level, from the state to the county to the city, and even locally, this Democrat-run state is falling apart because of their policies. So I think the biggest reason that I am very confident that all, or some, most perhaps, of the fires that are surrounding Los Angeles, that are in Los Angeles right now, the reason I believe that they are a form of either guerrilla warfare or climate cult activism or idiocy, the reason I think that they are definitely man-made is because of where they're starting. Here, let me just pull up a map. You're not going to be able to see it very well, but hopefully you can. You've got the Palisades fire very close to the Sunset fire. Okay, so those ones could have caused each other, right? Or one caused the other. But then the other ones, the Lydia fire, the Hearst fire, the Eaton fire, we just had an announcement of the Calabasas fire a couple of hours ago. Fires are popping up everywhere. And that's not common. Are fires common in California? You betcha. It's rarely it's very frequent, I should say. Those are the words that I was looking for. They do happen frequently because you've got dry land and dry air combined with heavy winds at times. Right now we have it hasn't rained in a long time and lots of winds. So people say, oh, well, that's why the fires are starting. But no, that's not true. Those are the conditions that are necessary to allow for a fire to be started and for it to spread, which is why power lines and cigarettes and campfires or whatever, the unintentional causes of these fires, they do happen fairly regularly. When you see something like this in an area that has not had a whole lot of fires in recent years, and all of a sudden you have 6 all at the same time, spread out in a way that does not mean that one is feeding the other. Okay, it's not like, the second closest ones to each other would be the Eaton fire and the Sunset fire. That's still about, 30 miles away? It's not like the embers from the Sunset fire floated over in the wind, traveled 30 miles without going out, staying lit, of course, and then landed there. Now, you might say, well, maybe it's just 5 or 6 different natural or unintended events. If you go to, let's say you go to Walmart and you see a pair of identical twins, it's an oddity. It happens, but it's not like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I didn't think such things existed. No, you would, just like fire in California is not uncommon. Identical twins out at a Walmart, that's not uncommon either. But let's say you're walking along and you go down aisle 3 and all of a sudden you see another set of identical twins. You'll be like, wow, now that's really weird. Then you keep going, you get to aisle 7 and there's another set of identical twins. Now you're starting to think, wait a second, what is it? Is this like identical twin 50% off day or something? I mean, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. We have 6 fires in LA. Only 2 of them are close to each other. 6 different fires. And here's the key. The other aspect of this is the fact that these fires started at the right time to maximize damage. So you look at, like, for example, the Hearst fire, and the Lydia fire. Okay, those started when the winds were coming from the north to the south, and of course they are north of Los Angeles. When you look at the Palisades fire, these fires were going from the east to the west. I'm sorry, the wind was going from the east to the west, allowing it to reach the ocean very easily. Then you go to the Eaton fire. Now all of a sudden that too started when the wind was going from the east to the west, bringing it into greater Los Angeles area. If you were to take a guerrilla warfare expert and say, here's where we expect the winds, the forecast of the winds to be blown. This is where they're going to blow. This is when they're going to blow. When would you light fires that would maximize the damage? That expert would draw a map similar to what you're seeing on the screen. That's perhaps more than anything else why I am fairly certain that this isn't just climate cultists. This isn't just crazy kids, weirdos, crazy people, idiots, anti-Trump terrorists. I think that there's at least a good chance that we're witnessing an attack on the United States of America. A guerrilla warfare attack that's designed to cause the maximum amount of chaos and damage and destruction that will have long-lasting effects on the entire country. Combine that with other suspicious actions, suspicious events that have been taking place over the last couple of months, really. It all seems very weird. And I didn't even get into the drone story. There's a drone story. Allegedly people are seeing drones. I saw the video. I almost did it. I almost did the story about drones in over California, over Los Angeles. But after watching the videos, I would say there was about a 50-50 chance that they were drones, because they were traveling faster. A lot of people were saying, well, it could just be wind, but they were glowing and they were traveling very fast and traveling in a straight line. They weren't like coming down or going up. They were traveling in a very straight line along the fires. It did look like it was probably a drone. And there's a few videos like that. So I didn't even cover that aspect of it. There's a lot of strange things that are happening that we don't even know about. Like I said, when it comes to people often conflate, they look at something like this, and if it's a fire, then that must be a terrorist attack. But it's not. A terrorist attack wants to be known. A terrorist attack isn't going for mass destruction. They're going for mass casualties. They want to send a message. They want to make people fearful. They want to drive terror into people. And they want to take credit for it. And they want to be able to say, hey, this is going to keep happening until you guys get out of Syria or whatever it is. We're going to keep attacking you until something happens, whatever. Or they might just say, we're just going to keep attacking you because we hate you, death to America. That's what a terrorist attack is. When you're talking about guerrilla warfare, you're talking about secret attacks, hidden attacks. They don't want it to be known that it was even an attack. They will push the narrative that, fires happen all the time in California. It is very dry. It is very windy. Just so happens that 6 fires started at the exact right moment in the exact right places to do the maximum amount of damage to Los Angeles. Thereby, the state and the country are going to be dramatically affected by this. They want us to believe that these are natural events, or that it's climate change, or that it's whatever. The more I talk, the more I personally feel that I am right when I say that this is very likely an attack against the United States of America. Lord willing, I'll be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, y'all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar. Crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't leave your future to chance. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at prepperbar.com.